Welcome back to The Chosen Podcast. I'm Jake, and as always, I'm thrilled to be here.
And I'm Jess, equally excited to dive in with you all. Today, we're really unpacking Season 2, Episode 3, which carries the significant title, Matthew 4:24. That verse itself is powerful. So his fame spread throughout all Syria, and they brought to him all the sick, those who were afflicted with various diseases and pains, demoniacs, epileptics, and paralytics, and he cured them. It sets such a monumental stage.
It absolutely does. The episode immediately throws us into Syria, and you feel the immense weight and scale of Jesus' healing ministry. That long, winding line of people, each with their own story of suffering and hope, it's a lot to take in. And importantly, we see Jesus profoundly exhausted by the end of it. It's such a key humanizing detail. And Jess, you mentioned it last time, but that camera take at the beginning, it's not just a technical feat, is it? It really immerses you, makes you feel the day winding down with them.
Completely. It's more than just fancy camera work. It's storytelling. It allows us to feel the atmosphere, the collective sigh of relief and weariness as the sun sets. And it perfectly sets up those crucial campfire conversations. We see the disciples actively involved in crowd control, taking turns, a very practical side of ministry. Then, in their off-duty moments, they gather and the conversations are so warmly rich. They're sharing hopes, childhood memories, like Thaddeus talking about his father, but also these differing, sometimes clashing interpretations of prophecies. Thomas is still very much expecting a military leader, quoting Zechariah 14 about the nations gathering against Jerusalem. And Philip is just like, all this craziness? It shows they're not a monolith. They're individuals grappling with huge ideas.
And that grappling extends to their own lives and pasts. The confessions around the fire, Thaddeus admitting he tried pork, Thomas confessing to eating meat with cheese. These might seem like minor transgressions of Jewish food laws, but they're significant. It's a moment of shared vulnerability, revealing their imperfections and maybe even their ongoing struggle with what it means to be devout. It makes me think, Jess, how often do we feel defined by our smaller slip-ups, letting them cast a shadow on our sense of worthiness, especially in spiritual contexts? These moments make the disciples incredibly relatable.
So true, Jake. That vulnerability is key to their growth, and this episode is a masterclass in depicting personal growth. Look at Matthew. He's so diligently memorizing Torah, driven by this deep-seated need, as he says, to defend his life choices. He wasn't raised in the faith like the others, and his past as a tax collector weighs heavily on him. You can almost taste his imposter syndrome. But then Philip offers such gentle wisdom. He doesn't just give practical advice about writing things down, which Matthew clearly values, but he directly addresses Matthew's insecurity, telling him that additional knowledge won't lead to God loving him more, that God's love is unconditional, just like a parent. That's a life-altering truth for Matthew and for any of us who felt we need to earn love or acceptance.
That interaction is a real lifeline for Matthew. But the episode doesn't shy away from the fact that not everyone is ready to extend that kind of grace. The tension between Simon Peter and Matthew is palpable, almost uncomfortable to watch. When Simon declares, "I will never forgive Matthew for being a tax collector." It's such a stark, raw moment. John's quiet questioning of Simon's authority to forgive or not is also telling. It highlights the human struggle with deep-seated resentment. And Dallas Jenkins, the show's creator, has pointed out that, unlike Zacchaeus in the Gospels, Matthew hasn't yet made that public act of restitution. That lack of visible amends clearly fuels Simon's bitterness. It really forces us to consider, what does forgiveness look like when the harm feels ongoing, or when amends haven't been made in a way we expect?
It's a complex and deeply human conflict. But what's so powerful is how the episode juxtaposes this with the overwhelming theme of unconditional love, primarily embodied by Jesus. Despite all their faults, their arguments, their misunderstandings, Simon's blatant unforgiveness, their past failings they confessed, Jesus is still there, still using them, still calling them into his mission. And that realization seems to crystallize for them when they see Jesus walk past, tired and weary, after a full day of healing strangers. It's like their internal squabbles and feelings of unworthiness are suddenly put into perspective. Mary Magdalene's insight, "I don't think he's waiting for us to be holy. I think he's here because we can't be holy without him," becomes this profound theological anchor for the episode. It's not about them being good enough for Jesus. It's about Jesus being present because they need him to even approach holiness.
Beautifully put. And speaking of profound presence in history, Mary, the mother of Jesus, joins the disciples. It's her first time with this larger group since Season 1, Episode 5. Her presence brings a different kind of depth. She shares these incredibly intimate memories with Mary Magdalene, like recounting Jesus' birth and emphasizing, "I had no midwife." It's a detail that underscores the uniqueness, perhaps even the isolation and immense faith of her experience. And then there's her maternal longing. She expresses this sadness, this ache, that Jesus hasn't needed her in that fundamental baby needs mother way for a long time. It's such a relatable human emotion for any parent watching their child grow independent.
It really is. And the episode provides such a tender resolution to that longing. After Jesus is clearly depleted from the day's ministry, Mary goes to his tent. She doesn't make a big fuss. She just quietly helps him get ready for bed. It's a simple act of maternal care. And then Jesus, in his exhaustion, looks at her and says, "What would I do without you?" It's this quiet, powerful acknowledgement that yes, even now in his grand mission, her presence, her care is deeply valued and perhaps even needed. It affirms her. And it also beautifully portrays Jesus' own humanity, his capacity to receive comfort. It's a testament to the enduring power of those foundational relationships.
Absolutely. And then, contrasting that maternal comfort, we have little James's storyline, which is so poignant and challenging. He's living with visible physical challenges, scoliosis and minor cerebral palsy, as the show notes depict. He voices this very astute concern that perhaps people are only interested in Jesus because of the healings they receive, for what they can get from him. But more personally and more painfully, he's grappling with whether he should even ask Jesus about his own malady. Thomas even directly asks him why Jesus hasn't healed him. This opens up that enormous, often uncomfortable theological question that The Chosen isn't afraid to explore. Why didn't Jesus heal everyone he encountered? And why does suffering persist even in the presence of divine power?
It's such a brave and necessary exploration. Little James's internal struggle isn't portrayed as a lack of faith. If anything, it seems to suggest a faith that is wrestling, that is deep enough to hold complex questions without demanding easy answers. It challenges the viewer, doesn't it? It moves us beyond a simplistic transactional view of faith. I believe, therefore I get X. What does authentic faith look like when the miracle we long for, or perhaps even expect, doesn't materialize in the way we envision? It pushes us to consider a faith that endures, that questions, that trusts, even in the midst of unexplained pain or unfulfilled desires. It's a powerful mirror to many people's lived experiences.
It really is. And this whole episode, every character arc, really serves as an invitation to self-reflection. The disciples are constantly being pushed to look inward. When they witness Jesus' utter self-expenditure for people who don't even know him, their own arguments about their faults, their unworthiness, Matthew's past, it all seems to shrink in significance. It's not that the issues disappear, but their perspective shifts. They begin to grasp, perhaps more deeply than before, that despite their lies, cheating, and disobeying God in many ways, as the source material puts it, Jesus is still using them. There's this burgeoning realization that they can overcome and become part of something greater. That's a profound catalyst for change.
It's the beautiful, overarching message for us as viewers too, isn't it? The Chosen consistently drives home that personal growth is a journey, not a destination. It's messy, it involves confronting our pasts, challenging our preconceived notions, like the disciples' military Messiah expectations, and learning to accept grace both from God and from each other, however imperfectly. This episode, Matthew 4:24, masterfully weaves the immense demands of Jesus' divine ministry with the intensely human struggles, doubts, and incremental growth of those he chose to walk with him. It's a powerful reminder that faith is lived in the everyday, with all its complexities.
A truly packed episode. It leaves us with so much to ponder about exhaustion in service, the nature of true forgiveness, how we handle our own feelings of inadequacy, and how we encounter the divine in the midst of very human limitations.
It's rich food for thought, and we hope this discussion has given you some new perspectives. Join us next time on The Chosen podcast as we continue to journey through these incredible stories. Keep those questions coming, keep analyzing, keep diving deep, and most importantly, keep watching. Until next time.